Hello students, let's begin with the third chapter from history, the Turkish invasions, the attacks of the Turkish people. Let's begin with the situation that was in the medieval period in India. During the medieval period, rulers built large temples to demonstrate their power and resources. These rulers in the medieval period that we have studied, that in what way the regional kingdoms were emerged in India in the medieval period, that Rashtrakutas were there, Palas were there, Gurjara Pratiharas were there. So all these rulers, they used to build the large temples. For what they used to large temples? They wanted to show their power and resources, that how much of the wealth and resources we are having, and we are having the great power. So therefore they used to build the large temples in their kingdoms. Sometimes these temples were very rich. So when rulers attacked one another's kingdom, they frequently targeted temples. Okay, so when these rulers, they attacked on each other, so that time they targeted the temples, because these temples were the rich temples, because uh, these temples were the idols in the temples were made up of gold or the precious metals. So therefore whenever they attacked on each other, first they targeted on the temples to grab the wealth. Okay, to grab these uh, precious metals and idols made with the precious metals. Similarly, these temples became target of the invaders such as Turks. Okay, Turks, the people, those who came from Afghanistan, and they attacked on India, in our country. So that time they targeted on the temples. Why? Because obvious they were also well known of the things, that the temples in India, temples in these kingdoms are very rich, and the idols are made up of the precious metals. So to acquire more and more wealth, they also, the outsider uh, invaders, they also targeted the temples in these kingdoms. So let's begin with the advent of Arabs in Sindh. Sindh is the part of India. Okay, the area which is surrounded by the Indus River, and the advent means the entrance, their entry. Okay, the how they entered in India. So the entry of Arabs in Sindh. So see, the birth of Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, at Mecca in Arabia marked the emergence of Islam. Okay, so as all we know that the founder of the Islam is Muhammad Paigambar. So he was born in Mecca, that was Arabia, Arabian countries. So this made the establishment of the new religion called Islam. The successors of Prophet were called Caliphs or Caliphs, and the empire set up by them is known as the Caliphate, sometimes referred as the Arab Kingdom. Okay, successors of Prophet मोहम्मद. ओके, मोहम्मद प्रोफेट के जो सक्सेसर्स थे उनको खलीफाज कहा जाता था, एंड दे वर आल्सो नोन एज कैलिफ्स. ओके, सो एंड द एम्पायर सेट अप बाय देम वाज नोन एज द कैलिफेट. ओके, successors of Muhammad were known as Khalifas or Caliphs, and the empire which was set up by the successors of Muhammad, that was known as the Caliphate, and it is also referred as the Arab Kingdom. The Umayyad dynasty was the first Muslim dynasty to rule the empire of the Caliphate. Okay, so the first dynasty that ruled the Muslim empire, or the Muslim dynasty that controlled the empire, ruled the empire, that is the Umayyad dynasty, Umayyad family. They had their capital at Damascus. Damascus, this place is found in present day Syria. Okay, so this Serbia, in this country now, this Damascus is this. So here in this slide we have studied about the emergence of the Arab Muslim as a ruler. Okay, so see after that what happened? The Umayyad caliphs were succeeded by the Abbasid caliphs, who shifted their caliphate to Baghdad. From the Damascus, the caliphate, it means Muslim rule, it was shifted to Baghdad. And Umayyad, after Umayyads, which dynasty ruled the Muslim empire? That was Abbasid dynasty, Abbasid caliphs. Okay. Under the Abbasids, the Arab empire emerged as the most prosperous, powerful and prestigious empire. Okay, when there was the rule of Abbasids, that Muslim empire became very prosperous, very rich, powerful. Okay, and it became very prestigious also. Okay, respected empire also. The advent of Islam into South Asia was through the Arabs during the reign of Umayyads. Advent, as already I told you, that he entrance entry, the Islam that entered in South Asia through Arabs during reign of Umayyads. Okay, the first dynasty that ruled the Muslim empire. Then in that first dynasty only, the Arabs, they came in South Asia. South Asia, so South Asia, it means today's Pakistan is there, India is there. In these countries are the South Asian countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. Okay, these are the South Asian countries. So in these countries, that the first Islam that came in the under the rule of Umayyads. In 711 C, an Arab expedition led by Muhammad bin Qasim captured Sindh, who later extended his conquest further into Multan. See, means first time in 711, the expedition or the invasion that led by Muhammad bin Qasim, he first time he captured Sindh, the area surrounding the Indus River, who later extended the conquest further into Multan. It means from Sindh to Multan. Okay, in these areas he established his rule. He conquered that area. Then, however, the occupation of Sindh did not lead to further conquest and ended with the death of Muhammad bin Qasim. But the Sindh people, uh, they also opposed to enter these Arabian in Sindh and to establish their rule. So therefore, because of their opponents, these Muhammad bin Qasim, after the death of Muhammad bin Qasim, this is Islam dynasties, Muslim dynasties, they were unable to extend their territory in South Asia after Multan. Then the Arabs could not extend their influence to other parts of then India. Then India, उस वक्त के इंडिया में देखा जाए तो उनका ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस वो प्रूव नहीं कर पाए अरब्स. The chief reason was the resistance offered by the Pratiharas and the Rashtrakutas. We have studied in detail about these two kingdoms in India that was emerged in the medieval period. So Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas, very powerful rulers were there from these kingdoms. So they resisted the Arabs to enter in India and to extend their territory or extend their rule here, kingdom here. So because of Pratihara and Rashtrakutas, they showed the resistance, powerful resistance. Because of that, Arabs, they could not extend their rule in India. By the end of the 9th century, the power of Abbasid Caliphate declined. Okay, the first Abbasid, then the first Umayyad, then Abbasid dynasty, the power of Abbasid dynasty, now it is declined. The Arab kingdom, the Arab empire split into the series of independent kingdoms ruled by Turks. Okay, so this Arab empire, the whole Arab empire, it was split into the series of independent kingdoms. The separate smaller kingdoms where uh, Arab kingdom was divided into the separate smaller independent kingdoms, and that were ruled by Turks, the people from Turkey. The Turks, who earlier served the empire as palace guards and uh, mercenary soldiers, emerged as kingmakers. See how the situation changed it very radically, that these Turks, those now who became the rulers, what they were doing before the decline of Abbasids, they were the guards, they were the palace guards. Okay, they were the soldiers, they were the mercenary soldiers. Mercenary soldiers means the soldiers, paid soldiers. They uh, they were paid by the Abbasid and Umayyad dynasty for the wars and for protecting themselves. Okay, the paid soldiers, mercenary soldiers, paid soldiers, and they emerged as the kingmakers because their importance in these dynasties it increased, and these new rulers assumed the title of Sultan. Okay, so the rulers they emerged after the Abbasid dynasty. They were assumed by the title of Sultan. It means ruler. From that point were known as Sultan. The real Turkish invasion on India. See, the Turkish invasions, and in that the important, it was around the 11th century. The Turkish invasions in India began with the expedition of Muhammad of Ghazni, that is also known as Mahmud of Ghazni. So we pronounce the word Muhammad. Okay, Mahmud of Ghazni in 11th century. In 11th century, first time as a Turkish ruler, Mahmud Ghazni, he invaded on India, and Mahmud of Ghazni is said to have made 17 expeditions on into India. Okay, how many times he had invaded on India? 17 times. Mahmud Ghazni. So Mahmud Ghazni and his expedition in India, Mahmud ascended the throne of Ghazni, that is in Afghanistan, in 19 998. Okay, okay. The throne of Ghazni was Afghanistan. He ascended the throne in 998 CE. He was a powerful and ambitious ruler. He wanted to expand his kingdom and to protect the same. He was very powerful. He was very ambitious to extend the territories of his kingdom, and he wanted to protect his kingdom also. He needed money to build a strong, large, and well-equipped army. Okay, for the protection of his kingdom and for the extension of his kingdom, what he needed the strong and large army. Okay, number of soldiers should be there, and strong soldiers, the weapons should have. So for that, his interest in India was to acquire wealth, as India was noted for its wealth and the fertility of the Punjab plains. Okay, so as we many times hear this word that ये देश एक सोने की चिड़िया थी, it means too much of wealth was there in India. Okay, and Mahmud Ghazni, he was interested to acquire the wealth from India only. Okay, and because of that he continued. Okay, he attacked on India. How many times? 17 times he made the expeditions on India just to gain the wealth. Okay, because he was well known about the availability of wealth in India and the fertility of the Punjab plains. Okay, the land, it was so fertile, therefore the agricultural yield was more, so therefore he wanted to plunder all these things, the wealth as well as the yields also. So His campaigns were aimed primarily to seize its treasures and replenish the Ghazni treasury. Okay, replenish, it means to refill. What was the main aim? The target of Mahmud Ghazni was to gain wealth, just seize the treasure and replenish it in the Ghazni treasury. Then Mahmud's initial raids were against the Hindu Shahi rulers who at the time held Peshawar and Punjab. Okay, it means whose rule was there in Peshawar and Punjab? That Hindu Shahi. They were ruling Peshawar and Punjab. This Peshawar, it is nowadays it is in Pakistan. Okay, and some of the portion of then Punjab is in Pakistan, and in India is there. So he defeated Hindu Shahi rulers Jaipala and his son Anandapala and got a large tribute from them. Okay, it means he defeated Hindu Shahi. The kings were Jaipala and his son also uh, Anandapala. Okay, he defeated both these rulers from Hindu Shahi and he got the large tribute. Tribute, it means in the exchange of acceptance of their defeat. Okay, just to protect or to get the suzerainty of someone, that tribute the in form of wealth. Okay, it was given to the victorious king that time, that is known as a tribute. So here uh, as a result his rule spread over most of the Punjab. Okay, it means most of the almost all Punjab he has acquired. Later most of his raids were directed at plundering the rich temple towns. Already we have studied that the in medieval period the uh, kingdoms, they were having the rich temples. They plundered, they looted the temples. He sacked and plundered Nagarkot, Thanesar, Mathura, Kannauj, uh, Kalinjar in Bundelkhand. Okay, the Bundelkhand was the another kingdom, and from there he from that kingdom he gained Nagarkot, Thanesar, Mathura, Kannauj, and Kalinjar, that from Bundelkhand. In 1025 C, he attacked and sacked the famous city of Somnath. It was also a port and had a renowned temple. He returned to Ghazni, okay, the place where from he came. So therefore, we know that Mahmud of Ghazni in Afghanistan, with immense booty and wealth. He transferred his capital Ghazni with the wealth he had looted. Okay, it means 1025 Ghazni attacked and plundered the city of Somnath. Somnath is the city that is in, that is one of the ports in Gujarat. Okay, and there is a temple, the rich temple. It was there that time. That was the Somnath temple, and he looted too much of wealth and he transferred, he modified his capital Ghazni, okay, with the wealth he acquired from India, from the Somnath temple. See here, I am showing you the picture of the Somnath temple, this temple, and how he had acquired, how he plundered the Mahmud Ghazni, how he plundered Somnath temple, that we will study in detail as a case study of the Somnath temple. Mahmud's most famous and terrible expedition was the attack on the Somnath temple. Okay, the most famous expedition, that was the Somnath temple. The temple is located on the southern coast of Saurashtra in Gujarat. Okay, Saurashtra was the empire in that uh, Somnath temple was located. Nowadays it is in Gujarat. Uh, It is one of the 12 Jyotirlings of Lord Shiva. Okay, Lord Shiva, the 12 Jyotirlings, 12 Jyotirlings जिसे हम कहते हैं. Okay, so one of that we can find very near to us, that is Parli is there, Aunda is there. There are some these are the Jyotirlings out of the 12. So like that, the Somnath is also one of the Jyotirling from the 12 Jyotirlings or 12 Jyotirlings that we can say. The temple was known for its rich treasure. Okay, it was very wealthy, rich treasure. It was there found in this temple. It is said that the people from distant places came here for worship. Okay, from distant places also the people visited here, and they worshipped the god. According to the Arab source, Somnath was celebrated city in city of India, very famous city, celebrated, famous, renowned city. Okay, Somnath was there that time, and it is found in the Arab documents also. The Somnath temple was one of the wonders of that place in which the idol called Somnath was placed. Okay, so in this temple in Somnath, that place is known as Somnath. Why it is? Because of the idol of Somnath, idol of god Somnath. Okay, out of the 12 Jyotirlings, there it was placed there. Therefore, that is known as the Somnath temple. In 1025 CE, Mahmud made a plan to raid Somnath and reached Somnath in the middle of December. Okay, in the middle of the December of 1025 CE, uh, Mahmud, he reached at Somnath. The Indians put a strong resistance to protect their sacred temple. Okay, so Mahmud looked upon the idol with wonder and gave orders to seize the treasures that included many idols of gold and silver and vessels sets with jewels. Okay, when he attacked on Somnath temple, he found there the uh, idols. They were made up of gold. Okay, gold and silver, as well as there were many vessels. They were put in the temples which were full of jewels. हीरो से बड़े हुए भरे हुए कुछ pots वहां पे रखे हुए थे, है ना. And all that he plundered from the temple. The value of the things found the temple of the idols was estimated to be more than 20,000 dinars. Okay, that the value of that all the things what he had plundered from the temple, that were how much of that value is estimated that time. Okay, that is 20,000 dinars. Dinars, that is the um, Arabian currency. Okay, so if we calculate, if we consider the rate of dinars in rupees, so if we convert one dinar in rupee, then it is valued more than 240 rupees. Okay, 240 point something rupees is there, is it is the value of one dinar. Okay, so now you can calculate that in what way, how much of the wealth, how much of the property, how much of the cost of that all the things that Mahmud plundered, uh, it should be estimated for today's currency of India and dinar. Okay, the temple was later rebuilt by the Hindus, but it had to face attacks during the rule of later medieval kings. Okay, that these kings after the plundering of Mahmud, the other kings, Hindu kings, they uh, made it rebuilt the temple. But Mahmud was very curious to know about the people he conquered. Whenever he attacked that area, he was very eager to know the people, how the people are there, how the culture is there, how their habits are there. All these things he had, Mahmud had interest in that. So he gave the responsibility to a scholar named by Al Biruni to write about the continent. Okay, so he wanted to know all the people, how the people are there, how their culture is there, how they're living. So he wanted to know. Okay, so because of that, he gave the responsibility one of the scholars from Afghanistan, that Al Biruni. Okay, and he wrote, Al Biruni consulted many Sanskrit scholars here, and after consulting them, he uh, wrote the Arabic work, that Kitabul Hind. ओके, किताबुल हिंद. तो इस बुक में हमको उस वक्त के देन इंडिया अबाउट, वी विल गेट द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट देन इंडिया, उस वक्त के लोगों के बारे में पूरी जो जानकारी जो हासिल की थी बिरूनी ने. सो दैट इज फाउंड इन दिस बुक, दैट किताब उल हिंद. Mahmud died in 1030 C at Ghazni. Masood, the son of Mahmud, was inefficient and weak ruler. Okay, Mahmud was very powerful, very strong, but Masood was his son. He succeeded Mahmud, and but he was inefficient. He was very weak ruler. So therefore, what happened after the deaths, after the Mahmud's death, the empire disintegrated rapidly and was restricted to Ghazni and Punjab. Okay, so that Mahmud, after Mahmud's death, the empire, it was disintegrated, that was split. Okay, into the small empires. उसके टुकड़े हो गए छोटे छोटे empires में, and they were restricted Ghazni and Punjab. Then the inclusion of Punjab in Ghazni's kingdom paved way for further Muslim conquest. Okay, so Ghazni empire के after the death of Mahmud, उसके टुकड़े हो गए, and only Ghazni and Punjab was there under the control of this dynasty. Therefore, that Punjab, because of Punjab, the other Muslim conquest, other Muslim rulers from Arab, that they got interest to attack on the Indian territories, the territories surrounding, or the area surrounding Punjab. Although the Ghaznavids continued to plunder Gangetic Valley and Rajasthan. Okay, Gangetic Valley and Rajasthan. Gangetic Valley is a very fertile and rich area of India, was there, as well as Rajasthan. They plundered. They were no longer in position to pose serious threat to India. Frequently they invaded, but there was no serious threat to the Indian rulers that time. They were not successful in making the threat to India or the Indian kingdoms. Okay, so in this way here, in this session we have studied about the emergence of the Islam or the Muslim rule or the Arab kingdom, and after that Umayyad dynasty, Sayyid dynasty, and as well as in what way Mahmud he attacked on India, his invasions on India. That the first Turkish invasion on India that we have studied. How many times Mahmud invaded? 17 times, and the most famous invasion it was made by Mahmud of Ghazni, that was the Somnath temple. So that we have studied in this session. We will continue for the next in the next session. So thank you for attending the session.